Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to go over a bit of a market update on Bitcoin, just because we are in September. I know we've talked about previously on the channel that, September is kind of a rough month historically for Bitcoin and Q3 overall. And so I think, there's a lot of bearish sentiment and a lot of uncertainty within the market. And so I wanted to essentially go over that and see if we can get a base for, how low can it go? What do we expect? What does some of that look like? So anyway, let's go on ahead and dive right in. So starting out, we can see with the crypto bubbles, basically everything is red. I mean, we got a couple tiny greens over here. And then, obviously helium looks to be kind of the biggest winner in the market so far. But yeah, I mean, overall, I don't know that this is too surprising to anybody. There is kind of a very bearish sentiment in the market right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. We've got the election upcoming. September is historically a bad month for crypto anyway. This does round out Q3, which is a bad quarter for crypto overall. There's a lot of things that essentially are stacked against us as far as crypto being like something that is going to be very profitable for us within the next month or so. And so going into that, but just because things are going down doesn't mean we can't still make money if we know how to trade the market correctly, right? And one thing that I've been super keyed in on lately is liquidation. And so we can see this is actually a tweet I posted about 18 hours ago roughly at this point. And we can see that, it's just a screenshot of the trusty liquidation map. And we can see on the liquidation map that at this point in time, on short term at least, it was very, very bearish. Like there was a very bearish sentiment, right? And so kind of my expectation here was, especially if we're looking at kind of where the walls start to rise, we get to about right here, which is about 56,400 roughly. And there's a massive volume of liquidations that would have hit, and that was about $1 billion roughly. And so my whole thing was just follow the money, right? And it looked like this is where this was going to go. So I use Margex for my trading. It's a leveraged exchange. Because we can trade leverage, it allows some of these small movements to actually be pretty meaningful as far as gains are concerned, and I get losses as well on the other hand. And so I've been trading the market lately on Margex and have done relatively well so far. I'll show you some of the positions I took last night based off of that tweet that I made. I bought into both Jasmy, I guess I bought into Solana, Bitcoin, and Jasmy. And so we can see here I made about 143% on Jasmy, Bitcoin about 133%. I did 70x because we'll get into that in a second. And then on Solana, I think it was much smaller. I cut it early just because I was a little unsure, just because Solana was showing a little bit more strength into the evening. So I did cut that. I do think I did take an earlier Solana one that did a little bit better, but again, I also cut that one early as well. So part of what I was looking at here, if we're looking at the Bitcoin chart specifically, is we could see we were sitting up at this point. We were starting to develop some wicks. And so I figured, a move to the downside would make sense. And so then, obviously we've moved down to the downside, and then we've started to see a bounce. So far, obviously the bounce is holding, but we are kind of at a point of resistance. So, it's hard to say if this will work out or not. Obviously, I do have a trade open. It remains to be seen if that trade is actually going to work out or not. But so far, it is in a decent bit of profit. I think it's like somewhere around 50%. So we can check and see. Yeah, 64% currently. I'm sitting here on a buy. We'll get into a second why, because I bet you already know what I'm going to say, but we'll get there. One thing also to mention with Margex is if you are interested in trading, I do have the link below in the description. They give you up to $10,000 of referral bonuses for signing up, as well as they're doing a $500,000 Caspa airdrop. So any of you Caspa fans out there, if you want to get your hands on some, free Caspa, so to speak, go on ahead and get signed up. Also, there is no VPN or KYC, so it is very easy to get signed up and just get started trading. So if you're interested, check the link below. It'll be the first link that you'll see there. So moving on, we're going to look at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Obviously, we're in fear still. If we cut this time frame down a little bit shorter, I mean, we can see basically since the beginning of August, it's been perma fear, other than about a 4-day time span when we jumped up into neutral, when we did see a good pump in Bitcoin up to about 62, and then obviously we fell right back down. So this is not something too unexpected. Looking at the Bitcoin price chart, we can see, we had, this was the kind of the massive fall in early August. We can see here. Then obviously we saw that pump up. This pump this area was generally where we dropped out of fear and back into like neutral, but then boom, here we are once again. So we are sitting towards the lower end of this channel. Like I said, anything is possible in terms of, while we're in this channel, it's just a lot of volatility. Where this is going to go specifically, I don't know for sure. However, I did actually pull these lines out so we could see something. One thing that we do know is September is usually not a great month for crypto, right? Well, if we can look here on the time frame down at the bottom, right here coincides at like the end of September and beginning of October. What we can also see is this is a pretty decent like liquidity zone as well. So what would not be all too surprising to me is, maybe we see pumps and dumps and all this type of stuff in the short term, but it would not be super surprising if by the end of September, beginning of October, we started to creep into this liquidity zone, which is like, low 50s, and then maybe we bounced up and retested the top of the channel from here. It just seems to me that as time drags on and we do start to, see this liquidity zone being a possibility while still holding the downward channel, I do think it's something that we could potentially see. So, obviously not financial advice. This is just my opinion. I know just as little as you do when it comes to, predicting moves on the market. All I can tell you is just kind of based on some of the data that I'm seeing and some of the structures that are forming, what I think could be a possibility. But again, you never know. I don't win every trade that I make. I like to think I win more than I lose, which I have at least recently, but you never know with the market, right? The market's a fickle friend, and so it comes and it goes. So moving on, part of one of the reasons why I want to talk about why I'm taking a long trade is, of course, the trusty liquidation map. So what we can see, kind of where we're at right now, there's a pretty nice wall of short liquidations to the upside. If we look, even just coming right past, let's say like 57,900, that's like $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin liquidations alone, not counting Ethereum. And if we were to look at Ethereum, I'd imagine the chart shows something similar. Yep, of course. Solana, I would imagine same. Not as tilted to the upside as Solana or Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it is, it's still definitely favored towards that upside. So, but focusing on Bitcoin specifically, we can see the 1 day very much favored to liquidating shorts. If we go on 7 day, same type of thing, very much favored towards liquidating the shorts. 30 day, same thing as well. So this is the type of stuff, and this is ultimately why I took that trade on Margex, is because we saw a bottom hit, and I was like, obviously I can place a pretty tight stop loss. I'm going to be playing a 100x margin, which I am. I would imagine based on the liquidation levels that we're seeing, we should see this kind of creep up. I would imagine at least to mid 57s, potentially up to maybe mid 58s, just because I'm looking at kind of the volume of where these liquidation points are. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing. Obviously a run all the way up to 62 is possible, but I think extremely unlikely. To me, kind of 59.5 I think would probably be where this thing topped out. I kind of doubt it'll even get there. Kind of somewhere maybe the high 57s, low 58s, might be a possibility. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. We'll see how it works out. Again, there's nothing guaranteed in life, but usually this liquidation map has seemed to be pretty reliable in terms of taking good trades. So, we'll see how it goes. Next up, I want to talk about the Bitcoin price temperature. Now, the Bitcoin price temperature, as we've seen in the past, has been a relatively reliable pattern for seeing when things kind of move into bull markets a little bit more sustainably, right? And so what we could see is, we started to creep up into the, the upper green. We never really got into yellow at all. And now we're starting to cool back down into kind of the light blue, and then dark blue obviously is like max bear. I would be doubtful if we saw, some of the darker blue. I do think, maybe we get into this, I guess we're in like a teal color right now. Maybe we get into more of the like lighter blue-ish color, because right now we're at like 1.16. I could see us dropping below 1, maybe into like 0.89, 0.7, somewhere in that area. But then, based on history, we saw a little bump here, drop back down, and then a run up. Little bump here, a really big drop down actually in this area, and then a big run up. So, this type of drop is definitely possible. So it's something that, definitely don't write it off from the things that could possibly happen. But as we can see historically, there is a little, little bump and then a run back. Same thing here. And so, just like this, it would not surprise me if we, maybe come back in here. again, look at where we're at here. This would be late 2024, and then potentially we see a run up in early 2025, which I do think is a possibility. I think a lot of people are thinking, late 2024 to early 2025. I think depending on how some of the macro market things work out, if we get into a recession, or if we, something happens with rate cuts, or, depending on how more the macro market reacts, I think this could potentially even push into late 2025. That would kind of throw us off the 4-year cycle time frame. But I think the 4-year cycle, it's going to break at some point anyway, right? And too many times, when it happens too many times in a row, people obviously start to notice the pattern. And so usually there are some variables that are thrown in to kind of change the math and the calculation a little bit. So the last thing I wanted to look at is open interest and volume. As we can see, obviously open interest is kind of creeping down. Volume is dropping kind of over time as well. And so, I don't think this is anything too surprising. Again, we're trying to look for the bottom, and at least so far, the bottom seems to not be in yet, but we do seem to kind of be a general trend down. What I think ultimately we're waiting for is kind of that time of max capitulation where people have essentially given up on the market and they start looking elsewhere. And ultimately that's kind of just what we're all waiting for. And, who knows how long that's going to be. As I've said in previous videos, I would imagine maybe about the election time is when we see kind of the max capitulation. But again, who knows? It's really impossible to tell. My crystal ball doesn't work. So if any of you do have one that does, send it my way. I'd be more than happy to pay you for it based on all the gains I'd be making in the crypto market. So anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. I wanted to just give a quick update kind of on the general Bitcoin market overall, where things are at. Even though the market is tough, it is definitely boring. I wanted to show, there are ways that you can still make money if you're paying attention and if you're staying disciplined. Pay close enough attention, and this type of stuff can definitely at least keep you busy while we wait for the real gains to come around, which I do think are coming, but when exactly we don't know. So if you did enjoy the video, please do give me a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I'm still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to be able to do that by the end of October, but at this point in time, given kind of the recent growth that I've had, I think it's possible we could see it in December, which would be awesome. I'd love to see that. So if you could help me out with that, that would, I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you want to interact with me or have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, drop them in the comments below. I do respond to all of my comments, and I really appreciate and like seeing what you guys are interested in, and what questions you have, and what's important to you as far as when you're watching these videos. So please do leave me a comment if you have anything that you wanted to mention. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.